So one of the things that you said that was very interesting to me was you alluded to buying lists. So how does that work exactly, right? What is the, and this obviously dovetails into the concept of sending spam and the definitions of spam, right? I mean, I know that if you send something that is of value, it's not technically considered spam, but tell me a little bit about buying lists and best practices for that.
Yeah, so I mean, and there are an enormous amount of what I'll call not so clean lists out there. So you have to be very, very careful. And why is that? Let's start there first, and then we'll turn into, how do you get, because actually buying lists is a good way to go if you do it correctly. But why is it bad? So if somebody just says, hey, I've got, a list of people that have invested in real estate development in the past, here's 50,000 names, and it costs, $1,500, right? Boom. You say, oh, fantastic. I get that. You do that. And then you say, I'm going to put out a blast email to those 50,000. There's this thing called deliverability. And it's very, very important, right? Because any tool that you use is going to work through a series of server names and domain names and things like along those lines. And there are people that police that, right? And so if you continuously have a high bounce rate, the people who you acquire the tool from are going to come to you and say, I'm cutting you off. You're not allowed to send it. Why? Because it's hurting the vendor's reputation. If the vendor loses their reputation, then they can't send. If they can't send, their business is done, right? So, so that's one. Now, if you say, well, I'm going to go past that, and I'm just going to go into Outlook and just try and send them myself, well, then you'll get blacklisted as well. So what that means is that you'll just get blocked at the server level, and nobody will ever see your emails. So that's why the bounce rate is so important. Now, what you want to do is, if you do buy those lists, first and foremost, you want to make sure that you're not, buying hundreds of thousands, because if you have so many like that, there's a bunch of trash in there. So what you do is do your homework, go to search the internet, do some stuff, and talk to other people in the industry and say, who has the best data? There are probably, and I don't know your industry very well, so I can't tell you, hey, go here, or there, but there are probably people that do have, clean lists that you can buy that will have a very low bounce rate. And you really want to do your homework before you do that. And then when you do that, you want to test the list. So don't just buy a big list and say, I'm going to go blast it out.
Send just one email, right?
Take a small subset and send it out. And if you get a high bounce rate, say, oh my goodness, I probably got bamboozled on that.